now at task 11. I skipped the 9 and 10 because there's nothing much there to do. So 11 says we should update our command interpreter to retrieve all instances by a class of a class by using this command, like command in this way: user.py, I meant user.all, base model.all, city.all, state.all, review.all, place.all. So first off, let's make sure that we've imported all of the classes and we filled up the complete list of valid classes. Then what else? So before we go on to implement this, I need to make us see, just to note some things for us. So here we know that when we type the command or, let me push this down, and we type the command or, it lists everything. And then if we should say all city, it lists only the city. If we say all user, it lists only the user. So what else I want us to know that is how this CMD behaves, the CMD module, how it behaves. So I want us to print out any command that we enter into our console. I want us to print it out so we can see the way it behaves. So any command that we enter, we are going to split it and then we print it out. So the first one will be or. Okay, hold on. Need to restart this. So first one will be or. So you see that when we call or from the command from our console, we see that it prints an empty list after splitting. Just these commands here. After we move our split the argument, it prints an empty list, which means that when we enter any of the command, whether or create or do or update, the split, the slash module, when it splits the argument, this or create, all of the methods, they are invisible. It can only print what follows after or. Okay, let's say we say we want to print all city. So now that we've typed in all city, if we run this command, what's going to happen is we're going to come here. Slash is going to split it. It's supposed to split into two, and then if we print it out, we're supposed to see all, and then we're supposed to see city. But due to the way this CMD module behaves, we are only going to see city. So we only see the argument that comes after the command that we've called. So if I press enter, we see that the command here is city. Okay, now another thing we are going to check if, because we're supposed to be able to call the methods this way, they're supposed to show user.all. So since once we pass an argument and we call the method, and here we called all city and it prints city, and then it shows all of the city that was created. Now it's supposed to be, if we call user.all, we're supposed to see, it's supposed to print user and then print everything about, even if it's an invalid syntax, at least it's supposed to first split the arguments and then print it out. So let's run this and see what happens. It says unknown syntax. So if the command comes after whatever class we are trying to display, the the slash will not be able to see any class that comes after, or any argument that comes after the method. So this is a default behavior for this CMD. So for us to be able to call to display any class by calling user.or or city.or, we have to rewrite the default method for this CMD. If we don't do it, there's arguably no other way to do this. So we have to write another method called default that is going to be our own default. We overwrite the default of the CMD. So let's get started. So we are going to define a default method in our AirBnB command class. It will override the default behavior for invalid syntax provided by the cmd.cmd class, and our custom default method will be used to handle any unrecognized commands or syntax errors instead of the default behavior provided by the CMD. And in our custom default method, we will have the flexibility to provide our own error messages and logic for handling invalid input, as we've done in our code. So this will allow us to customize the behavior of our CLI when users enter commands that it doesn't recognize. So to be able to override the default of CMD's unknown syntax, we will create a list variable called arglist. This arglist will hold a list of stripped arguments from the command. So we say arg.split and we are going to be splitting it by the dot. So let's assume that we have an input. Let's say this input is user.or. By overriding the default behavior, here we will be able to retrieve both the user and or. When we did unlike what we when we tried with this or method, if we try to retrieve this, because we are now using a default, we are overriding the default of the CMD. Now we'll be able to split this into two, and we are going to get an output. We get an output like this. We get user and or. We'll get an output like this. So next thing we are going to do is, since we know that the first index of this arglist, first index is user, and the second index is all. Here we know that this user is the incoming class name, and the second index, which is index 1, is all, which is the incoming method with braces. What we are going to do is we will take the item in index 0, which is the incoming class name, and we are going to save it to a variable called incoming class name. So we say incoming class name equal to this then we are going to split the item in index 1. Here we are going to split all from the braces. So if we split it, and we are going to be splitting it by this open brace, and when we split it, we are going to save this all as an incoming method, as a variable incoming method. So we are going to say comment is equal to arglist 1 dot split, and we are going to be splitting it by the opening brace, because if we split it by the opening brace, we are going to have two items inside this command, which is one all, and the second one will be the closing brace. So now we know that command 0 will be equal to all, and command 1 at index 1 will be equal to this closing brace. So now what we are going to do is to save this command 0, which is the method call. We are going to save it as a variable called incoming method. So we say incoming method equal to command 0, as the command has index 0. So also we need an empty string. Well, I am tempted to strip off the remaining closing braces and use it, but that would be a waste of our time. Bear with me, you will see the use for them all. So next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a dictionary called method dict. This method dict is going to hold all of the methods we've created so far with their name as key and their call as values. When I say the methods we've created so far, I'm talking about the do all, do create, do update, and so on. So we say all, and their value will be their method call, and then we say show, which is the next one, and the value will be self.show. Next one is going to be destroy. Our value will be self.. Then we have 4. So far the last one is going to be update, which the value will be self.update. Okay, now that we have a dictionary holding all of our method calls, so this is necessary because what we want to do here is to compare the incoming method key. This incoming method key, we will compare it with these keys in the method dictionary. Like if the command is all, let's say that this command is all as we've assumed here, we are going to check if it's in this method dictionary. If it is in there, we will construct the method call. So we are going to say you will compare the incoming method keys of the dictionary. Compare the incoming method with the keys of the dictionary. So we say if if incoming method is in method dict dot the keys, we need to compare it against the keys. So if they are a match, we will construct and return the method call to the command, thereby avoiding the unknown syntax. So what we are going to do is we are going to construct a method call and then return it to the CMD. So we are going to say return start date, and then we are going to pass in the key and value. Incoming methods, because if they are a match, what we want to do is to construct a method call for this incoming method, which in our case is all. So again, we are going to say there with space and dot format, and then we are going to pass in incoming class name followed by, remember I talked about using an empty string there. So this empty string here, it represents an absence of additional argument. So the empty string is used as a placeholder in the method call where there are no additional arguments for the method. When constructing the method call, we add the class name followed by the empty string. Like when we are constructing the method call, we say all user, or we say the method call show user followed by the ID. So this empty string, that's what it's representing. It's representing here if there are no other arguments after the user, and then here if there is some other argument. What else? Okay, now for the return value, what we'll be returning is going to look like this. It's going to look like all user is going to mimic a method call, like say self dot all user, where the class name is an argument. So, and then finally, now what we're going to do is to provide what gets displayed if indeed there is an error in syntax. So we're just going to say print unknown syntax. And then we pass in the whatever syntax that we got from the command line. So it's going to display unknown syntax followed by the syntax that was passed, and then we return false. Okay, so let's run this. If we say all Okay, and now we say um, user the shows. We say city the shows. We say what else is there? Place place the and the shows. So let's walk through this again. Here we get the argument and we split it. Okay, let's put in some print statements. I'm going to be using an F string. Same thing. Going to be using I'm doing this so we can really understand what's happening, just in case if you didn't get it the first time. Alright, so let's go ahead and run this again. If we say okay, now if we say user the you can see that here when we first printed this arg list, what we got is user and just like I stated here, and then again the incoming class name, which is user, is after we must have split it and saved it to as incoming class name, and then the following incoming method, which is here incoming method. Remember that when we tried this with the method with the all method, we weren't able to capture all of this, but now that we've created our own default method, we're able to capture this. So continuing, so now we created a method dictionary which holds all of the methods that we've created in this AirBnB console, and then here we check if the incoming method that the user keyed in, if it's equal to or if it's in any of this method dictionary, what we are going to do is to return a method call by using the incoming method name to construct a method call and then return it. And then here we print out a no syntax, that is if the user entered an invalid syntax.